Is the little red light on? Yeah, we're rolling. So, here's the thing nobody tells you about the van life aesthetic you see on Instagram. It smells. It smells like stale sweat, dry shampoo, and whatever cheap gas they pump into the tanks out here. It smells like living in a gym bag. But you won't see that in the thumbnail I post later. In the photo, I'm gonna look like a glowing, sun-kissed goddess conquering the wild frontier. I'm gonna throw a filter on it that makes the dust look like magic pixie dust or something. Right now, though, I'm just Phyllis from the suburbs, and I am sweating through my linen shirt so bad it's sticking to the seat. I'm currently about 200 kilometers from anything that resembles a city, driving a rental 4x4 that sounds like it's coughing up a lung every time I shift gears. This country, God, it was trending on TikTok as the last true paradise 3 months ago, is beautiful, don't get me wrong. It's rugged. The mountains look like jagged teeth chewing on the sky. But it is hot. It's gotta be nearly 40 degrees Celsius out there, and the air conditioning in this truck is just a rumor. My parents would lose their minds if they saw me right now. Mom is probably back home in Ohio, staring at my location dot on her phone, freaking out because it stopped moving 3 hours ago when I lost signal. Let her freak out. I spent 22 years being told what to wear, when to be home, and who to talk to. I spent my whole life being the safe girl. Now, I'm Phyllis the Wanderer. I have 40,000 subscribers who think I am the bravest girl on the internet. I'm doing this for them. Well, I'm doing it for the algorithm, mostly. The engagement on my last few posts has been tanking. People are bored of cozy mornings in the van and oatmeal recipes. They want danger. They want grit. They want off the beaten path. That's why I'm heading to this remote village I found on a weird subreddit. No paved roads, no tourists, just me and the camera. I need this video to blow up. I need to prove that I can handle the deep end. I need to prove that I'm not just playing dress up. But if I'm being completely honest with you, off the record, camera off, just between us friends, I felt sick the moment I signed the rental agreement for this truck, like physically ill. There was this guy at the rental shack, a tiny little place with a tin roof. He didn't speak much English, but he kept tapping the map, shaking his head at the route I'd highlighted in neon yellow. He looked at me with these wide, sad eyes and drew a line across that route on the map with his dirty fingernail. Then he looked right at me and made a cutting motion across his throat. It wasn't subtle, it was terrifying. What did I do? I laughed it off. I smiled my spunky solo traveler smile, the one I practiced in the mirror, and snatched the keys. Why did I do that? Why didn't I just turn around and go back to the hotel? Because of the mugging. It was 2 years ago, back home. That's the real reason I started all of this craziness. I was walking to my car after a shift at the mall. Standard parking lot, flickering lights, smelling like exhaust and pretzels. A guy stepped out from behind a concrete pillar. He wasn't big, he wasn't a monster. He just had a knife, a small, rusty kitchen knife that looked like he grabbed it from a sink full of dishes. And I froze. I didn't run, I didn't scream, I didn't use the pepper spray my dad made me put in my keychain specifically for this kind of thing. I just stopped. I stopped existing. I handed him my bag, my phone, my keys. I stood there like a statue while he rummaged through my life, smelling his gross breath, terrified that if I even breathed too loud, he'd cut me. I was pathetic. When the cops came, they said I did the smart thing. You survived, they said. That's what matters. But I know the truth. I didn't survive because I was smart. I survived because I was a coward. I learned that night that when the world gets scary, Phyllis doesn't fight. Phyllis folds. I hate that version of me. I hate her so much it burns. So I built this new life. I drive into deserts and sleep in parking lots and go to countries where I don't speak the language, all to prove that the terrified girl in the parking lot is dead. Every time I ignore a warning sign, every time I push down that instinct that screams, turn back, I feel like I'm winning. I'm rewriting my DNA. The rental guy looks scared for me. My gut told me he was right. My stomach is in knots right now, and my hands are slippery on the steering wheel. But I can't turn back. If I turn back, the fear wins. If I turn back, I'm just the girl who froze in the parking lot again. So I'm gonna keep driving. I'm gonna get the shot,
and I'm gonna pretend I'm not terrified of what's waiting for me at the end of this road.
I found the spot. It took another hour of bouncing over gravel that felt like it was going to shatter my spine and rattle the teeth out of my head, but I found it. It's a scenic overlook. Well, that's generous. It's basically a flat patch of dirt on the edge of a cliff, dropping straight down into a valley of dense, black pine trees. The sun was just starting to dip below the mountains, painting the sky this bruised purple color. Perfect lighting. The golden hour for the thumbnail. I pulled the van right up to the edge, nose pointed toward the drop so I could open the back doors and film the sunset from bed. That's the classic shot, right? Feet in wool socks, cozy blanket, epic view. I put the van in park. The engine was rattling so loud I couldn't hear myself think, so I killed the ignition. Silence. Just instant, heavy silence. The kind that rings in your ears. And then a sound. Thud clack. It came from inside the doors. All of them at once. A heavy, mechanical sound, like a bolt slamming home in a prison cell. I frowned, glancing at the driver's side lock. The little plastic tab had snapped down. Weird. Usually central locking only triggers when you start driving, not when you turn the car off. Okay, I muttered to the empty dashboard. Weird flex, but okay. I grabbed my camera bag and reached for the door handle to get out and set up the tripod. I pulled the lever. Nothing happened. I don't mean it was stuck. I mean, the handle felt loose, disconnected, like the wire inside had just snapped. I pulled it again, harder. It flopped back and forth uselessly in my hand. Come on, I sighed, annoyance spiking. Don't do this now. I leaned over to the passenger side. I tried that handle. Same thing. Limp. Dead. My annoyance started to curdle into something else. Confusion. A low hum of anxiety. I pressed the button for the power windows. I needed some air. It was still baking hot in here. The button clicked, but the glass didn't move. No motor whirring, no movement. I looked at the dashboard. It was completely dark. No clock, no odometer, no little red lights. The van wasn't just off, it was dead. It's getting hot. Fast. Without the AC, the van is essentially a metal box, baking in the residual heat of the day. I've been trying the handles for 10 minutes. I've tried the back doors, the side sliding door, even the glove box for some reason. Everything is locked down. And then I remembered the black box. When I picked up the van, underneath the dash, right by the steering column, there was this weird blocky device zip-tied to the wires. It had a little blinking green light. I even joked about it on my Instagram story. Look guys, Big Brother is watching, tracking my mileage so they can charge me extra. I crawled into the front seat and looked under the dash. The light isn't blinking green anymore. It's solid. Red. A hateful, unblinking eye staring right at me. A cold wash of realization hit me, so intense it actually made me dizzy. This isn't a malfunction. Malfunctions are messy. Things rattle or grind or smoke. This was precise. The engine cut, the locks engaged, the handles disconnected, all at the exact second I parked here. I looked at the windshield. The view I had driven 4 hours to see, the jagged mountains in the purple sky, suddenly looked different. It didn't look majestic anymore. It looked like a wall. I tried to honk the horn. I slammed my palm against the steering wheel, ready for the loud, ugly blade to shatter the silence. Nothing. Just the dull thud of my hand hitting plastic. They cut the horn. Why would a breakdown cut the horn? My breath is coming in short, shallow gasps now. The air in here is getting stale. I'm pressing my face against the passenger window, looking down the dirt road I came up. It's empty, just dust and rocks,
But the silence outside doesn't feel peaceful anymore. It feels expectant, like the landscape is holding its breath, waiting for something. I'm not a traveler. I'm not an explorer. I'm a rat that just walked into a trap and the door just slit shut behind me.
I stopped filming 20 minutes ago. The brave face is gone. I'm in full panic mode. I tried to kick out the windshield. Do you know how hard safety glass is? I lay on the dashboard and kicked until my heels were bruised, but it didn't even crack. It just bounced my feet back at me. This isn't normal glass. It's reinforced. Why is a rental van reinforced? I started tearing the van apart. I ripped the cute fairy lights down. I tore the cushions off the bench seat. I needed a tool, a tire iron, a jack, anything heavy. There was a panel under the bed. It looked like storage for camping gear. I clawed at the plywood, breaking 2 of my fingernails until I got a grip and ripped it open. I froze. I was expecting a spare tire, maybe some jumper cables. Inside the compartment, sitting in molded foam cutouts like a sniper rifle case, were 3 things: a coil of thick yellow nylon rope, a heavy folding military spade, and a set of butcher knives. They were brand new. The price stickers were still on the handles. I stared at them, my brain trying to make sense of it. Maybe that's the survival kit for the campers? No, you don't give campers a spade and butcher knives. You give them a camp stove and a flashlight. These weren't tools for living. These were tools for hiding things, and they weren't for me to use. They were placed here, waiting. The van isn't a vehicle, it's a delivery system. I'm the package. I scrambled back, away from the compartment, pressing my back against the driver's seat. I felt that familiar paralysis creeping up my legs, that same freezing cold sensation I felt in the parking lot 2 years ago. Don't move. If you don't move, it's not real. But then I saw the lights. Far down the valley, where the dirt road twists around the mountain, a pair of headlights cut through the dusk. They were moving slow, deliberate. No rush. They know I'm not going anywhere. The vehicle, a battered pickup truck, crept up the incline. It didn't have a siren. It didn't look like help. It pulled up about 50 meters away and killed its lights. 5 doors opened. 5 men stepped out. They weren't wearing masks. They were just guys wearing heavy work boots and canvas pants. One of them adjusted his gloves. Another lit a cigarette. They looked bored. They looked like a road crew showing up to fix a pothole. They started walking toward the van. Not running, just walking. A steady, rhythmic crunch of boots on gravel. I grabbed the handle of the spade from the compartment. My hands are shaking so bad, I can barely hold it. The freeze is trying to take me. It's screaming at me to just sit still, to be a good girl and to let it happen. But I'm looking at those knives and the foam, and I know what they're for. I'm not freezing this time. It's completely dark now. The mountains are just black shapes against a slightly less black sky. I'm huddled on the floor between the driver's seat and the bed, gripping the spade so hard my knuckles are white. I'm whispering to myself over and over like a prayer. Swing, just swing. As soon as the door opens, aim for the head. Don't think, swing. Outside, it's terrifyingly quiet. They didn't storm the van. They didn't try to smash the windows with rocks. They're just standing there. I can see their flashlight beams cutting through the darkness, lazy yellow streaks dancing over the gravel. They're leaning against the hood of their truck, maybe 10 meters away. I heard the flick hiss of a lighter again. They're smoking. They're talking in low voices, laughing softly. That's the worst part. They aren't monsters snarling at the door. They aren't screaming threats. To them, I'm just a box they have to unload. I'm a chore. I'm the last job of the day before they can go home and have dinner. It makes me feel so small. I'm hyperventilating, the air rasping in my throat, and they're out there checking their watches. One of the beams swings toward the van. It hits the window. blinding me for a second. I flinch, raising the spade, ready to scream. But nobody moves. The light holds on me. I know they can see me. They can see the girl trembling in the cage. They can see the spade. They probably think it's cute. The conversation outside stops. A heavy pair of boots starts crunching towards the driver's side. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It's so slow. It's the sound of inevitability. The man stops right at the window. He shines the light directly into my eyes. I squint, trying to see his face. He's older. Tired eyes. Deep lines around a mouth that isn't smiling, isn't frowning. Just blank. He holds up his hand. Dangling from his thick, calloused fingers is a small, black key fob. He looks at me. He taps the glass with the key fob. Tink, tink. He knows I can't get out. He knows I tried every handle. He knows I'm trapped in the box I paid for. Swing, I whisper, tears linking out of my eyes. Phyllis, just swing.
The man's thumb hovers over the button. He doesn't look malicious. He looks efficient. He gives me a small nod, almost polite, acknowledging the transaction. I brought myself here. I signed the papers. I drove the route. I did all the work for them. He presses the button. Beep, beep. The sound is deafening in the silence, immediately followed by the mechanical clunk of the deadbolts retracting, the heavy slide of the side door mechanism engaging. The motor whirs, a high-pitched whine that sounds like a scream. The side door begins to roll open. Cold mountain air rushes in, smelling of pine needles and stale tobacco. This is it. This is the moment. The door is opening. I have the weapon. I have the angle. I just have to stand up and bring the metal edge down on the first thing that enters. Stand up, my brain screams. Move. But my legs don't move. My arms don't lift. The cold washes over me, and it's like being dunked in ice water. The freeze hits me harder than it ever has before. It's not a choice, it's a physical weight, crushing my chest, locking my joints. I am not Phyllis the Wanderer. I am not the brave adventurer. I am the girl in the parking lot. I have always been the girl in the parking lot. All the miles, all the videos, all the fearless captions, it was just a costume, and now the costume is stripped away. The spade feels impossibly heavy. My fingers loosen. I don't want them to, but they do. Clang. The spade hits the metal floor of the van. It bounces once and settles. I stare at it. I stare at my failure. I wanted to fight. I wanted it so bad. But you can't outrun who you are. A boot steps onto the van floor. Heavy, mud-caked, purposeful. I look up. The man is looming over me now, filling the open door, blocking out the stars. He isn't holding a weapon. He doesn't need one. He sees the dropped spade. He sees me huddled in the corner, shaking, empty hands raised in surrender. He smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. Okay, I promise to be gentle, he says, his voice rough and bored. He reaches for me, and I don't make a sound.
The horrors linger. Thank you so much for watching or listening. By liking and subscribing, you're helping me summon the next chilling tale from the shadows. Join our community of the brave and prepare for what's to